Pastor Nuru came to Mungaza without prior notice. He began preaching in a small church that had previously been used irregularly. On his first Sunday, only a few people attended. He spoke briefly, using simple language and a steady tone. He did not ask for money or make announcements about future plans. Some people said his sermons were clear and easy to follow. By the second week, attendance increased. By the end of the first month, the church was regularly full. People shared information about the services with friends and relatives. Nothing about the growth appeared unusual at first. Pastor Nuru avoided long services. He focused on themes such as faith, patience, sacrifice, and obedience. He did not raise his voice. He did not criticize individuals publicly. His approach was calm and consistent. After several weeks, testimonies began to circulate. Some members reported improvements in their personal situations. Others said they felt more hopeful after attending services. These reports contributed to further growth. Offering practices changed gradually. Instead of collecting money in baskets, Pastor Nuru invited individuals to come forward voluntarily. He placed his hand on each person's forehead briefly and spoke a short prayer. Afterward, the individuals gave offerings according to their own decisions. No amounts were announced. No records were displayed publicly. Many members gave money or valuables. Some gave repeatedly over several weeks. Later, some of these members could not clearly recall how much they had given or when. They remembered participating, but details were unclear. This was often dismissed as stress, excitement, or distraction. Life in the town continued as usual. Outside of services, Pastor Nuru kept to himself. He lived near the church and rarely socialized with members. He was not seen frequently in public places. This did not attract much attention, as many pastors were known to live quietly. At night, the church remained closed to the public. However, lights were sometimes visible inside after midnight. Behind the altar was a small room that was not part of the main church area. It was not accessible during services. Few members were aware of its existence. Inside the room were several personal items: sealed clay containers, folded cloth, small bottles, shells arranged carefully, and an old mirror placed against the wall. The room appeared to be used regularly. Mama Eric attended the church from the early weeks. She sat near the back and did not participate actively in testimonies or offerings. She observed other members closely. She noticed that some appeared unusually quiet or unfocused after going forward. She did not raise concerns publicly. One Sunday, Pastor Nuru called her by name and asked her to come forward. The congregation watched as she stood and walked toward the front. When he touched her forehead, she reacted differently from others. She stepped back and appeared uncomfortable. Despite this, she gave an offering. That night, Mama Eric did not experience the same confusion others described. She remembered the service clearly, including the amount she had given. The following morning, she went to the church office to ask about the offering. There was no record available. When she spoke to other members, they did not share her concern. Mama Eric told her son Eric about the incident. Eric listened carefully. He worked with data and was familiar with identifying inconsistencies. He began reviewing publicly, available church records and financial activity where possible. He noticed that funds entered accounts but did not remain there for long. Transfers occurred regularly, often during late hours. The patterns repeated monthly. One night, Eric stayed near the church. He observed lights inside long after midnight. Later, he entered the building quietly and discovered the room behind the altar. The contents of the room did not match the function of the church. The next Sunday approached. The congregation gathered as usual. Most members appeared unaware of any concerns. Pastor Nuru prepared to lead the service. Mama Eric sat quietly, alert. Eric attended the service as well. Nothing had been revealed yet, but the situation had changed. The service continued without interruption. Pastor Nuru spoke as he usually did, maintaining a steady tone and familiar themes. Members of the congregation listened attentively. Nothing in his manner suggested urgency or concern. Mama Eric remained seated. She did not close her eyes during prayer. She watched the front of the church and occasionally glanced toward her son. Eric stayed quiet. He did not confront anyone. He observed. After the service ended, people greeted one another and left as usual. No discussion took place about offerings or finances. Most members appeared satisfied and calm. That night, Eric organized the information he had gathered. He reviewed bank statements, transfer times, and account closures. The movement of funds followed a consistent pattern. Money entered church-linked accounts shortly after services, then left within days. The recipients were accounts that did not carry the church's name. Eric also compared dates. The transfers aligned with specific nights each month. He documented everything. Mama Eric stopped attending services the following week. When asked, she said she was unwell. No one questioned her explanation. Eric continued his investigation discreetly. He did not share his findings with the wider community. He focused on verifying details. One night, he returned to the church building. He entered quietly and checked the room behind the altar again. Some objects had been moved. Others were missing. The mirror remained. There were no signs of forced entry. The space appeared maintained. Eric took photographs and left. Within the congregation, small problems began to surface. Some members realized they could not account for recent financial decisions. Others noticed missing items at home. A few attempted to retrieve property or funds previously given, but found no documentation. When concerns were raised informally, they were often dismissed. People assumed they had made personal mistakes. Pastor Nuru addressed the congregation briefly one Sunday. He spoke about doubt and patience. He advised members not to focus on material matters. His tone remained controlled and reassuring. Attendance did not decline. Eric contacted a legal aid organization outside the town. He presented his documentation without speculation. He avoided accusations related to spiritual practices. He focused on financial irregularities, missing records, and unauthorized transfers. The organization agreed to review the material. Weeks passed. During this period, Pastor Nuru became more guarded. He limited access to church offices. He reduced interactions with individual members. He announced plans to expand the church's reach to neighboring areas. Before these plans progressed, investigators arrived. They requested financial records and access to property documents. Church officials were unable to provide complete information. Bank records contradicted public statements. Pastor Nuru cooperated initially. He denied wrongdoing and described all contributions as voluntary. Further investigation revealed inconsistencies across multiple towns where he had previously preached. The case expanded. The congregation was informed gradually. Some members reacted with disbelief. Others felt confused rather than angry. Many struggled to recall details of their own involvement. As investigators presented evidence, patterns became clearer. Financial losses were confirmed. Ownership records were traced. Pastor Nuru was arrested on charges related to fraud and financial misrepresentation. He did not resist. In the weeks that followed, the church stopped holding services. Members met informally to discuss what had happened. Some chose to leave entirely. Others stayed connected through personal relationships rather than organized worship. Support groups formed to assist those most affected financially. Mama Eric attended several meetings. She spoke only when asked. Her account helped others recognize gaps in their own memories. Eric provided his documentation when required. He avoided public attention. The legal process took time. Assets linked to the case were frozen. Some property was recovered. Not all losses could be reversed. Pastor Nuru was convicted on financial charges. No religious rulings were made in court. The judgment focused on documented actions and transactions. He received a custodial sentence. Life in Mwangaza gradually stabilized. The church building was later repurposed as a community meeting hall. No religious leadership was installed there again. People resumed daily routines. Some remained cautious. Others preferred not to revisit the events. Mama Eric returned to her normal work. She did not speak often about the experience, but she remained attentive in community matters. Eric left the town after resolving outstanding issues. He did not pursue recognition for his role.